What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Brian VRM, and welcome to another Spider-Man review. Just a few more of these until Spider-Man No Way Home premieres this week. Really excited. I can't wait to see it. And I'm excited because I finally got my camera working. Been having some issues with it lately, and I was hoping to have some video recorded for my Spider-Man 2 review, but unfortunately that did not happen. But I seem to got it fixed just in time for my review to the conclusion to Sam Raimi's trilogy, Spider-Man 3, that premiered in 2007. Yeah, this one was fun to review. I'm just going to get started. Peter Parker seems to be living his best life. He's dating the girl of his dreams, the public is loving Spider-Man, and after a brief fight, Harry Osborn now has amnesia and has forgotten Peter's secret and his vendetta towards him. But as you may have guessed, things don't stay that great for long. Peter is eventually bonded with a black alien substance, which alters his suit, enhances his powers, and also alters his personality in a more darker and aggressive way. Meanwhile, Peter learns the man who killed his Uncle Ben was not who he believed, sending him on a path to track down his uncle's true killer, Flint Marko, who after a freak accident becomes the Sandman. This film also introduces Eddie Brock, aka Venom. This is a film where I have gone back and forth on several times now regarding how I feel about it. After rewatching it recently, my current consensus is simply, I definitely don't love this film, but I don't hate it either. No denying, though, that this is absolutely the weakest in the trilogy. Like always, I'll start with what I like about the film. Except for the last part of the film, Spider-Man 3 has some impressive fight scenes. My favorite is the brief fight between him and the Sandman. The fight between Harry and Peter at the beginning was good too, except for the last part of it in the alleyway. At that moment, it got a little cartoonish. I did like Tobey Maguire's and Kirsten Dunst's acting at the end when, spoiler alert, Harry was killed by Venom. That scene was heart-wrenching, and Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, and James Franco's acting really delivered. There were some impressive special effects in the scene where Spider-Man saved Gwen Stacy from falling from the building. I also like some of the imagery. My favorite, though, is Peter in the black suit sitting at the top of the church bell tower in the rain. Now let's talk about things I didn't enjoy about this film. Oh boy. Let's start off with saying I was totally fine with Spider-Man getting bonded with the black suit. But I felt the suit's introduction was sloppy with the whole random falling star. I just felt like there were better ways to introduce the symbiote. As mentioned earlier, the black suit alters Peter's personality, making him aggressive at times. And there were a couple of scenes where I thought that was decently portrayed, mostly with the fight with Sandman and the second fight with Harry at his penthouse. But there are quite a bit of moments where it was just silly and took me out of the film. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, but I'll just mention them anyway. I did not like Peter Parker altering his hairstyle while wearing the suit. I just didn't think it was necessary, as everyone could tell he was wearing it under his clothes and didn't need any subtle hint that he was wearing it. I also didn't like that he was able to take the suit on or off like regular clothes. In the comics, the suit lived inside Peter's body and could manifest at will, and that was better portrayed when Eddie Brock was bonded with the symbiote later in the film. And of course, there was no reason whatsoever for Peter to dance in the street like a tool. While I admit some of the Bully Maguire memes and YouTube videos are funny, that scene was a train wreck and completely unnecessary. And speaking of Eddie Brock, I was fine with Topher Grace being casted as Brock. He's a good actor, and I've enjoyed some of his other work. But I feel bad for him, as I felt Venom was not necessary for this film. They could have easily set up a sequel just by him being bonded with the symbiote and just leaving it there. But instead, we got what we got with just the 10 minutes of Venom before he's blown to Kingdom Come with a grenade. I don't even blame Sam Raimi for that, as I read that he had no intention of putting Venom in this film, but was only doing it because the studio demanded it. Again, I would have loved to give Topher Grace a chance as Venom for his own film, but unfortunately, what we got was a waste. Last thing I have to say about Venom is me being nitpicky, I know, but in the comics, Eddie Brock discovered Peter's secret because the symbiote fed him that information. And in the film, he sees Peter briefly unmasked at the top of the church bell tower. My issue with that is I've watched that scene several times and even paused a time or two to clarify. But I have a hard time believing that Eddie was positively able to identify Peter's face. He was at least 70 feet high in the church bell tower, in the dark, and squirming around fighting to get the suit off, and I just can't see how he was plausibly able to identify Peter's face. Okay, now on to other aspects of the film. The choice to make Sandman a misunderstood villain was okay. I didn't have an issue with it, and honestly, being a father myself, I did understand his intentions. It was an interesting change of pace to have a Spider-Man villain who doesn't want to be a villain, he just wants to help his daughter. But I did like the message at the end where Peter overcame his hatred towards him and forgave him for accidentally killing his uncle. And I kind of wish that same approach would have been used with Harry forgiving Peter. I'll be honest, I'm glad they made up and everything. I just wish it could have been because Harry overcame his hatred towards Peter on his own by realizing that his best friend would never kill his father. In all fairness, Harry was tormented by the ghost of his father, and he wanted to please him. But I think it would have been a good choice for the film to have Harry overcome his father's torments. Instead, we got some lame scene with Harry's butler revealing the truth. I'm sorry, that approach was lazy, and I didn't like that scene at all. But I might get into more of that in another video. So aside from all those nitpicks with the black suit or the choices with Venom, this film isn't completely horrible. Again, not a fan, but I don't hate it, and the acting is good and had great imagery and special effects, and some good performances from a handful of the actors, but at the same time, both the film and the acting can get very cheesy and over the top in a few spots here and there. Overall, the film feels out of place compared to the first two films, and definitely a disappointing conclusion to the trilogy. I'm gonna give Spider-Man 3 a C-. Hey, thanks so much for checking out this review, everyone. I hope that you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to hit that like button, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you'd like to stay updated for more of my content, including my Spider-Man reviews that are coming this week. Next on the list is going to be my review for The Amazing Spider-Man. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time.